You're listening to Pipebomb Radio with your host, the founder, Felix Olmedo,
the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour,
and the Godfather, Nate Milton.
Godfather's in the house.
You're welcome.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Welcome, everybody, to Pipebomb Radio tonight. Tonight, as we prepare, or as the WWE prepares for their pay-per-view this Sunday that they've been building towards for the last 5 weeks, Nate and I took it upon ourselves to go ahead and sit down and kind of analyze it, break it down, give our opinions, get some feedback, and I've officially titled this show The Battleground Breakdown. Kind of catchy, I think. But joined, as always, the one and only Nate Milton. How you doing, pal?
What is going on, brother?
Just discussing what's coming up on the itinerary here, and figuring I kind of pat myself on the back for coming up with a catchy title, you know, the Battleground Breakdown, and you know. But otherwise, been good, man, been good. I was entertained with Raw last night, and I can't say that very often, but I definitely was. I caught up on Tough Enough tonight, and the drama from Total Divas, you know, it's funny. They seem to always have some kind of drama every week.
Yeah, it's funny because there is a lot of WWE programming available now, both on the network and on cable, and I agree. I think Raw was a good show. I still think 3 hours is way too long, but the good stuff was good. It was really good, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how they spin that out to Battleground, and as we start the road to SummerSlam. I haven't been really that into Tough Enough yet. They haven't really captivated my attention with that, but Total Divas is always good for a couple of laughs.
Yeah, that I think is a better way to explain as far as Total Divas go. Tough Enough, you know what? It wasn't something I was really thrilled about because of the way they were formatting it, but for the most part, I just tune in to see just what kind of crazy characters they have and how they're going to make them step it up each week. And yeah, I miss the days when they were on MTV, but that's just me. Otherwise, you know, if we touch on Raw, since it was the go-home show to the pay-per-view this Sunday, there were a lot of points that stood out to me. Number one that stood out, and I think that really shocked everybody, but they were loving every minute of it, was this new Divas Revolution that's been going on, and people have been wanting to see it and had been begging to see it for quite some time. The Divas get the Diva division got shaken up pretty good with the introduction of Charlotte, the reintroduction of Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, the boss.
Yes.
I'm curious to hear what you think about that because you and I have my opinions about it. What did you think of that whole little thing that went down?
I mean, it was a good segment. It was one of the more memorable moments on Raw in recent history. But the one thing that I did hate was Stephanie McMahon kind of speaking down to the Bella Twins, like that's one of her bad habits, you know, belittling people on the roster, and I never like when she does that. The other thing was, all of a sudden, she switched into this babyface mode, like, hey, I'm going to bring you guys what you wanted. And it's like, no, I'm good with that, Stephanie. But in terms of seeing the girls come out and seeing who they were paired with, I thought it was pretty cool, even though I did laugh and shake my head when Stephanie was like, you know, Paige, I've got Becky and Charlotte here for you, and Naomi and Tamina, I've got somebody that's a lot like you, and it's Sasha Banks. And I'm like, okay, is that a black thing, or where are we going, Stephanie? But I think they'll do well. My only concern is that although we've got these fresh new wrestlers from NXT on the roster, it's still the same creative team that has been writing some really bad Divas storylines since WrestleMania, maybe even before that. So I'm hoping that these new characters will give them some incentive to you know really let these girls go out there and show what they can do.
You know, that has been something I've been waiting for myself. I know with the Bella dynasty dominating Raw each and every week for years now, it was getting very stale, very old, and they gave opportunities, obviously, with AJ Lee coming in, and she killed it. She did great for the time she was running things, and ultimately led to her retirement. And who else were they going to put on top? They didn't have anybody else. And what I found kind of funny as I was watching Total Divas last week is that, I think it was last week, anyways, Nikki Bella made a comment that I found pretty interesting, that she was going to compare herself, that she was going to be the next, well, for the females anyway, be the next John Cena. And I scoff at that, not because she's not talented, because she is talented. I'm not going to take any credit away from her. She is talented. She is beautiful. But you know what? Her work ethic, how would I put this? If you put her in the ring with a Fabulous Moolah, with a Medusa, with a Nora Greenwald, Molly Holly, with a Sherry Martel,
yep,
they would mop the floor with this girl.
Even with a Trish Stratus or a Lita.
Even those two, I went back to the old school because a lot of times they get compared with those two girls in that generation. But I went back a little further because I wanted to hit with, not saying that Lita and Trish are not good choices, but if you went back even further, you can go back and say that even then, I don't know if Nikki could have held her own against these women who knew how to wrestle. Nikki, to me, is more power, more strength, more, don't touch me, this is the money maker here, guys. Don't touch my face. Don't touch my boobs. She just doesn't give me the feeling of being a wrestler.
Good character, really. I think she's got a good character, her and her sister. Yes. But in terms of once that bell rings, I mean, they've gotten better than they were when they first debuted. But I mean, they're still not spectacular in the ring. No, they're not. And for the most part, as we were talking, I think you and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, how we were just, there had been rumors that it would be Lita and Trish, there had been rumors it was going to be the NXT girls, and how I basically still am waiting, and I'm probably going to be waiting forever because I don't think this will happen. Stranger things have occurred, though. I am still waiting for Karma to make her return. Yes, I am. I'm still going to keep saying that because, you know what, if WWE ever dares to listen to my show, our show, Pipebomb Radio, then maybe they'll get the hint. Not saying that we know everything, because I'm sure we don't know everything, but we have some pretty good ideas. Even if we had to book a WrestleMania, I think we could book a pretty good one. Hell, even Austin could book a pretty good one. God help me for saying that, because I don't know why I just did. But I mean, we know Vince McMahon listens every week. Every Tuesday night he's like, "Quiet, Linda, pipe bombs on."
There you go. Oh, that's too funny. But the whole build-up to the Raw Monday, definitely things. Obviously, we talked about the Divas. We talked about, obviously, we're going to throw in there the whole incident with what they're planning to do with Seth and Brock. Now, that definitely took up a great deal of time on television as well. Not a whole lot, but I mean, for the beginning and the end, Seth wants to prove himself as being this, legit champion. Now, he's entertaining, he can wrestle, he can move around, and he's done everything he could to piss off the Beast. Now, that can come back to bite him on the butt, and it has, considering he's lost J&J, and he's lost Kane, and he's officially turned on Kane. So, again, I wonder, what the hell is he thinking? But, alas, I was thinking last night after Raw ended, I feel like there's a big surprise coming. And I feel like it's going to be a surprise that nobody saw coming. And what I mean by that is I still see, and I think you and I touched on this some time ago as well. There had been predictions of one of the Shield members turning and helping Seth. What if that were to be Ambrose? And those two decide to run things for a little bit, and Ambrose comes to the dark side again. Now, on the other hand, there could be another backup they have, an ace in the hole, if you will, that they bring in and is the one that takes Brock down. Could it be another one that's bigger than Brock? I don't know about bigger. I don't know about badder. But somebody, I feel a twist coming. I really do.
Me too. I got that sense because I think, Felix, we're going to give our predictions a little bit later, but I think that this story with Seth and Brock, it's not going to end at Battleground. It's going to end at SummerSlam. So I think there's something in the back of my head that's like whether it's Ambrose or whether it's a backup plan from the Authority, or even, and this is what flashed through my head last night when I was watching Raw, because if you remember the contract signing,
yep.
There's this one moment where, Brock goes to read the contract, and Heyman's just like, no, you don't need to read it, Brock. Just sign it. It's all good. What if Heyman turns on Brock?
See, now, normally I would be okay with that because it's different. It's something that's fresh, but you know what? They tried that 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and ultimately, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because, look, Brock is the kind of person, the character, that needs somebody to speak for him.
Yes.
Not that he can't talk. Don't get me wrong. He can talk. But he's a silent beast, and that works for him. Why change it? Why rock the boat? Because, look, I mean, if you think about it, look back to the summer of 2013 when they put Brock against Punk. Punk didn't really need that mouthpiece. They just worked too well together, though. But ultimately, when Brock was going to come back, whose side do you think they were going to put him on? Heyman, they obviously were going to put him on the side of the person who really needed the mouthpiece, as opposed to Punk, who just naturally just likes to talk, period. And I really don't know. I mean, not that, okay, I'll be honest, it was a good idea back then. I just don't feel it's a good idea now because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree that I think it'd be good for the short term, but I think in the long term you definitely want to keep Brock together with Heyman. But like you said, I got a feeling this thing is not over at Battleground, and so if I'm like, what can they do that will be believable or will be satisfying enough to want to see the conclusion at SummerSlam between these two guys?
That's a good point. We'll keep that discussion going. But I mean, as far as the contract signing goes, as far as this, every time they bring in some kind of extra, I don't know if I want to say merchandise or some kind of object involving a storyline. It's a shame because that was a sweet looking car that I wouldn't mind driving myself. Now, on the other hand, I not so much. But when you seen that car being bought, did it cross your mind that it's going to get destroyed down the line?
Oh yeah, I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when. I didn't think it was going to be the very next week. But
Brock, and then we talked about this last week. But how cool is it? I swear, I was laughing so hard. Every time I watch that video, I was laughing. Because Brock he is a strong mofo, and flung that car door so far across the arena, and a kid gets knocked in the head.
Yeah,
I think it was that kid. But at the same time, it gave me another thought that came to mind too. Why is it every single time I turn around? This is going off the subject of Raw real quick for a second. Why is it every time I turn around? And more so in this generation than any generation I've ever been a part of, it seems like for every flippant thing, everybody's suing somebody, and WWE is usually in the crosshairs, in the crossfire. WWE's getting sued for anything, everything, and you know what? Maybe I should get in there and sue them too because I got a paper cut off one of the tickets I bought. I mean, what the hell? I was just reading something that involved a security guard, and did you read that? Did you happen to read that story?
No, I haven't, because I thought you were talking about the kid at first, but I had read that the kid, he was so happy
they gave him merchandise and he was fine.
Yeah, he was over the moon. So no, I didn't hear about this security guard story.
No, this guy, it happened to be an event last year, I believe, and I guess he had gotten hit or something to that extent, where I guess they're pushed or shoved, whatever the case. In other words, he got pushed and he got hurt. And he didn't see who did the pushing or the hitting or whatever it was that caused him some kind of harm. That his lawyer decided to bring up everybody that competed in the show that night, and he put them on there as people that could have actually hurt the guy. That he's losing money because he can't work. His wife's getting in there and saying that he can't perform his husbandly duties. Wink, wink. And it's WWE's fault for causing him harm and making him lose money. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Everybody's out there looking for the easy buck.
You think that'd be something that would be in that would be something in the contract with the arena or something like? And I get that we live in a litigious society, but it's like that should be something that should be handled like very quickly. Like I don't know why he had to drag. Well, I know why he had to drag everybody else because he was trying to go for them big dollars. Yes, sir. And as we all know, Vince McMahon is all about the money.
Yeah, he's back up there to being a billionaire again. For a while there, he was only a millionaire. But after losing money, and what I don't understand is every month the WWE Network's free. Now, are they still gaining money on that, or are they losing money on that? What's the payday for the WrestleMania? Little things that come up with this free network every month.
Well, that's still one of the big problems is that, it's great that we live in this era with the network and, they're doing all the free previews and stuff like that, the free months. But, like, one of the big issues still in the company is, especially with the, the guys in the locker room, is how does this affect our paychecks? Because when it was in the pay-per-view days, there was a clearly defined breakdown of how much money everybody gets and whatnot. Now this is a new era where it's like this is a new frontier. These aren't pay-per-views; these are network specials. So how do we divide this big cash cow amongst the people that really deserve the biggest share, which are the workers?
Very true. And just on a side note, for those listening into the show tonight, if you want to call in, share your thoughts about Battleground or even any of the discussions that we have going up tonight, feel free to call in, 347-202-0399. Phone lines are open, and we're open to hear your thoughts. In the meantime, yes, I don't know how. I mean, I know they got different avenues where WWE's making money now. It's not. That's why they don't want to look at it as wrestling, a wrestling company. It's more so entertainment company, and because they do movies, they do TV shows, they do music videos, they do this, they do that. I get it. So maybe they're not so concerned with the network anymore as they were last year. Last year they were worried they weren't going to hit 1 million buys. Now they can give two shits because now every month's free.
Hey, they need to concern themselves with the network because for good or bad, the network is going to be their future because, TV deals, as we saw with TNA, it took them a while to get another TV partner. With this last deal that the WWE signed with USA, it's not the money that they were expecting to get back. So, like, there's still avenues for TV on cable and stuff like that for wrestling, but it's not like it was back in the 90s. So they really need to work on making the network a prime destination for wrestling fans so that the future of their company, the future of their pay-per-views or their special events is still intact.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll see where that goes. I mean, in the meantime, don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying the free. Who doesn't enjoy free?
That's four of my favorite letters put right in a row.
That is true, man. That is true. But as far as the go-home show for Monday Night Raw goes, promoting the matches that were involved for the pay-per-view this Sunday, do you feel that it was pushed enough, or do you feel like they only kind of touched on maybe one or two, if not one, particular match for the pay-per-view? Do you think that they should have expressed more or pushed more for all the matches? I think they kind of did. They touched on it just enough, or maybe not enough. But I mean, they touched on it. But I don't know what you think, man.
I mean, really, like, there's only, I don't know how you feel, Felix, but to me, this is going to be a two-match show, pretty much, with the Owens-Cena match and then Brock versus Rollins.
Okay.
Everything else, it's cool, it's there, but I'm not, like, the reason I'm tuning in is for those two big matches. So I think that Raw did a great job of setting up Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. I don't know if they did the best job setting up Cena and Owens, even though that was a great triple threat match with Owens, Cesaro, and Rusev. But I didn't like the way that they had it set up so that Cena looked like the bad guy because, these three guys just had this great 20, 30-minute match, and then Cena gets to take on the winner, and then we didn't even get a finish. Like, Cena came off, to me, looking like the bad guy, and so I'm interested to see which way they go at the Battleground, because I think it's time for Kevin Owens to finally get that belt.
Yeah, I believe that's where they were working towards, and since we're already kind of touching on a lot of what I will say, yes, the build for the matches worked somewhat well, whether it be the mid card or not. Speaking of mid card, you can't get no more mid card than, unfortunately, R-Truth. He's more mid card, wacky and zany, and way out there. King, what's up with the plunger and whatever the hell he's got on his damn head, and King Barrett. Now, here's the thing I have a problem with Barrett. And it's not a big problem, but it just seems as though creative is lost with this guy. And what I mean by that is that every week, not every week, every chance you get to change this man's character, you do that. From Wade Barrett to Bad News Barrett to King Barrett. What the hell else are they going to call this guy? Hey, English Muffin Barrett? I mean, let the man be himself. He's got talent. He can cut promos, and he can wrestle. I just feel like they're trying to compensate for something that he's lacking. Which, give the fact that he's been injured a few times. I get it, but I mean, why do they feel the need to give him another gimmick every few months or every year or so? But King Barrett against R-Truth in the pre-show to once again settle the score. And who will be the true king, if you will? The crown's on the line. Who you got in this match, man?
Well, Felix, I've got some bad news for you.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, man, I think Barrett should and will win this match. It's a shame, though, because we've seen this match on Raw and SmackDown and various other places, I think at least 5 or 6 times over the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Some variation of Barrett versus Truth, and both guys are really good. I think Barrett has been very unlucky in his career because, like you said, he's a guy that can wrestle. He's got the charisma, he's got the look, but for whatever reason, they'll start and really do something that's starting to catch on. Whether it was the Wade Barrett character or Bad News Barrett, which is really starting to catch on, or the King thing, and then either he'll get hurt or the creative will start to drop the ball on him, and then he's got to start back all over again from the top. So I think he'll win. I don't know what this whole King of the Ring thing. King of the Ring should be something that catapults you to a next level, whereas with Barrett, I think it's just put him right back, he just with R-Truth, like he's the king of the mid-card, and so hopefully they'll do something with Barrett coming off this, but I'm going with King Barrett for the win.
You see, now you couldn't even get into it. We'll just say Barrett.
Now, which one? I don't know who he is. Just the British guy.
And you know what? I think that's, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier. It's not so much that, well, I'm not going to come right out and say WWE's racist, but I really do believe that they are high on the stereotypes. And what I mean by that is whether you're Hispanic, whether you're black. If it's entertaining and they're going to use the stereotypes to their advantage, they will. And It just seems as though they keep Truth as keep him around because he's a clown. He's funny. He is entertaining. I'm sick to death of his rap, but that's just me. I think they need to switch him up a little bit. Hell, give him the K Quick, but can't bring him back again. Give him Road Dogg, and Road Dogg and him will rap to the ring or whatever crap that they did back in the day. But I think his character needs a revival, needs something to spice it back up again. For the meantime, they're going to keep him around because he is the WWE clown, because Santino's retired. JTG's retired. Well, he's gone. And who else are they going to use besides Zack Ryder?
Yeah.
It's a shame that I say that, but in reality, this guy hasn't done nothing in years, and he had his opportunity, and the only reason they made him heel is because they had nobody else. And they made him into a crazy, weird heel at that, and in turn made him into a good guy again with Little Jimmy.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like, everything they give him, he's good because he is entertaining, like you said. Like, even little small stuff, like the couple weeks ago when he didn't know what town he was in. He's like, oh, he thought he was in the match. He's like, oh, I'm not in the match. My bad, Kane. My bad, New Orleans. Like, even little stuff like that is funny, and it's like, man, you've got so many great people on this roster, like Barrett, like Truth, like Dolph Ziggler, like Cody Rhodes, and you can't seem to figure out how to get how to put them in the best position to succeed.
Exactly. It's a shame, but you know what? Obviously, with that, we got Barrett, but we move on to another match that just seems meaningless and almost thrown together, and that being Randy Orton versus Sheamus. What the hell what they have nothing better for these two to do. Sheamus coming off one of the big wins of his career so far. Not saying that obviously he took away the fact that he was a world champion at one point, but he's been bouncing around with Ziggler for months, and then all of a sudden he gets thrown into the King of the Ring with his funky ass hairdo. I'm sorry, I just can't get over that hairdo. And then you got a returning Randy Orton who was on vacation after, I guess, he proposed to his new girlfriend and now his fiance. And they get thrown into a story, and from what? I mean, they beefed off and on, but there's no meaning. There's nothing behind this match. Don't get me wrong. These two are going to go out there and give it their all, and I've always been a fan of Randy, and I think I always will be, because he makes in-ring performance look flawless. And if there's any of the WWE stars or tough enough stars that would like to aspire to be good, they need to watch Randy in the ring. Randy is that good. But in reality, this match, it doesn't matter who wins. It really doesn't.
No.
If I were to choose a winner, I would go with Randy, but that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, this match doesn't matter. Both guys, like you said, are technically sound, and Randy Orton Randy should be at one of the hottest periods of his career, because you remember how excited the people were to see him when the Authority turned their back on Randy, and then Randy came back as a good guy. Like, they did nothing with that. I mean, granted, he had I think he was filming the movie, and then, like you said, he proposed, so he had some time off in between, which really cooled him down. But this match is not going to get a great reaction. I think people are just going to be kind of sitting on their hands waiting for the RKO to end the match. And so I might have some more bad news for you, Felix, because I think that this match Sheamus is going to win. That's my prediction, by some screwy hook or crook, because he's still got the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I think we might take this feud again to SummerSlam, which I don't think is a good idea for either guy, because I think they could be doing so much more. Exactly.
Well, it's a 50-50 shot, so I know one of us will be leaving as a winner. But we move into the Intercontinental title triple threat match. Now, it's Ryback, Big Show, and The Miz. And I'm trying. I'm really, really trying to understand, and deal with Ryback. I've never been a fan of this guy. As a good guy, his Feed Me More stuff came in with a boom and worked, and good for him. Turns heel, he sucked. Came back as a good guy. They're giving him another good push in the IC title, and he can't really wrestle. So who do they give him? Big Show. Big Show, and then they throw in Miz to boot. Okay, well, we're going to have two big guys go at it, and we're going to have an annoying little pest running around making fun of both of them, or trying to get both of their ires up, and then eventually going to get caught and smashed. Coming out of this match, what do they gain from it? I mean, in reality, look, I don't see Show winning it. If by some miracle, Miz escapes, because he's that sneaky, he would be my pick to win it if he could pull it off. But if I have to go right off the bat out of these three, I'm just going to go with the champ retaining. Somehow, though, if Miz can get in there and be sneaky like I know he can, he'd be my top pick.
Yeah. I think they're going to do the whole deal where Miz lets the big guys beat each other down, and then, he's going to try to get in there and steal the victory. So I could easily see them putting the belt back on Miz. But here's why I'm going to go with Ryback, because I do think that I agree. Like, I've never been a huge fan of Ryback, but I mean he's got something there, but it's not my cup of tea. But I think if Ryback wins, and we'll get to it in a little bit, if Kevin Owens wins, I want to see the unification between Ryback and Owens, and I think that's a better matchup than going the other way and having Cena versus Miz for unification.
True. That's actually a good point too. But I'll tell you, as far as unifications go, I don't know if they work. I don't know if it'll work. I'm not saying it couldn't work because I've done it before, but at the same time, if they ever decided to make these titles worth anything, they need to be on two separate shows. Raw needs to have their IC title, US title needs to be on SmackDown solely, no more, no less.
Well, we've seen how the U.S. title is so much more valuable now since Cena's had it and done the open challenges, whereas the IC title, unfortunately Daniel Bryan got hurt, but it seemed to kind of fall by the wayside now. Like, does anybody really care who wins this match?
No. No, plain and simple. No, that's a good point. I mean, we can definitely leave the U.S. title on Raw and put the IC on SmackDown. I mean, and even have an Intercontinental title tournament to see who could face Ryback at SummerSlam, and actually put credible challengers in there, and don't put them up against somebody who everybody thinks they want to see against Ryback. Put a Sheamus in there or a Mark Henry. Nobody needs to see that.
No. Put
somebody in there who could be a respectable champion. And I don't mean Barrett. Barrett has been there and done that, and no. You think about somebody, if they're going to stick him in there in the mid card, then maybe a Dean Ambrose, or dare I say, maybe even a Zack Ryder. Give somebody who's fresh a chance.
I'll tell you what, if you're looking at good challenges for Ryback, I know it looks like he's going to be involved with the U.S. title picture, but I'd like to actually see Cesaro and Ryback and see what they could do.
Another good idea. I mean, they face each other too, but I think in a one-on-one match, it'd be interesting to see if Ryback can go toe-to-toe with Cesaro. Cesaro has already proven that he can wrestle and he's powerful, and I've seen Cesaro get Ryback up in the swing. So it'd be an interesting little battle, to say the least. But as far as the IC title, well, we've already shown that it's just going to be a snore fest. If I had a snore sound effect, I'd play it now. But,
to quote Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, when it comes to the IC title, unfortunately, right now, it doesn't matter.
No, it don't. We'll move on to the tag team title match. And what I have to say, I've been pretty interested in what they've been doing, although they haven't been doing much. The little that they have been doing between the two teams has been somewhat mediocre and somewhat entertaining. And I don't know if you can say that both in the same sentence, but you get my point. The primetime players against the New Day. And honestly, you and I, or at least I thought, after New Day lost titles, what was going to happen to them next? Were they going to keep them together? I think this is the only actual heel run that Kofi's had, and good for him, because he needed a shake-up in his career for sure, because he was going nowhere. Big E, unfortunately, could have had something big, but is going nowhere. And Xavier. So in reality, maybe this stable is good for them. But as far as New Day walking out with the tag team titles, nah, not yet. This one is one of the ones, and if you'll pardon me if I quote what you just said earlier, it's going to get pushed to SummerSlam in some kind of stipulation match.
Yeah.
I could see it happening that way. But as far as that, I see the champs retaining on Sunday night.
Oh, man, this is one I could see go either way, because you're right. I could easily see the primetime players hold on to the belts and we get the rematch at SummerSlam, or I could see New Day win and then we get the rubber match, because both teams would have won one match. Get the rubber match at SummerSlam. I like the primetime players, but I don't think they've, like, this tag run hadn't been, this title run hadn't been lighting the world on fire. I think New Day is probably the team that should have the belt right now, because like you said, man, I think all three of these guys, they didn't really know what to do with them separately, and they ruined Big E's push from a year or so ago when he looked like he was headed to the top. But I really like what they've been doing as of late together. So I think I'm going to go with a New Day win that's going to set up the rubber match at SummerSlam.
All right. And we move on to the let's see, which is we're getting into the better matches of the night, or what could end up being better matches, especially with the storyline going with Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt. This one came out of nowhere, but became with some kind of meaning behind it for once. Here lately, they had been putting Bray in some of the most ridiculous scenarios, situations, and he's made the best of every one of them. He didn't win every one of them, but you know what? This guy still has a great following, and what I really dig is he is really so into his character. You feel his energy when he comes into his character, when he's like, for instance, I'll give you put a scenario for you when what's his name? When Roman Reigns attacked the fake Bray Wyatt.
Oh, yeah.
And looked down and realized it was a wig. All of a sudden, I can't do the laugh like him. You know, Bray's laugh comes onto the intercom there, and you see him looking up at there in the mist and everything, and you feel that moment. And the dude was in his character. Anybody but you, Roman. Anybody but you. You know, you just feel it. I felt it. And that's what's keeping me going with this rivalry here, because it's intriguing. Bray is good at what he does. He's really good. And as far as this one goes, I think this one's just getting started. And if they do this right, this could elevate both of them into main event level that they should already be in. Because look, I know honestly, let's be honest. Roman can't talk to save his life. We all know that. He can wrestle. He can fight. But he can't talk. Getting him in there with somebody who can talk looks good for both. Again, I go back to the WrestleMania for Bray Wyatt, who basically built that whole rivalry between him and Undertaker by himself.
Yeah.
You know? If there's anybody who's been cutting some of the best promos out there, it's definitely Bray Wyatt. Now, unfortunately, like I said, his matches you don't get to see just how good he is. I mean, his rivalries haven't been that great, but when they go into them and their promos and so forth, stellar. As I said, this particular match itself, I'm going to go with Bray Wyatt, and the only reason I say that is because I feel like there's unfinished business. It's gonna occur where maybe Bray gets Roman gets a surprise that he doesn't expect to see, and it creeps him out enough to where he gets distracted, and there you go, 1, 2, 3, boom, Sister Abigail.
Oh, this is the problem I've had with pretty much all of Bray's big feuds so far, Felix. Like the lead up, whether it's with John Cena or with Undertaker or with Ambrose, the lead up has been pretty good, but the matches always kind of leave a little bit to be desired. So I think this will be interesting because, as you mentioned, Roman's not the best talker, but he's a guy that has a lot of physical charisma, especially, when he's getting in there and throwing them Superman punches and all that good stuff. I think that this is a tough one because Roman Reigns is still obviously the guy that the WWE is behind, even after losing at WrestleMania. He's still their long-term plan. But I don't think you can start this off with Bray losing this first match and then continue it. So I think Bray's going to win. I don't know how he's going to win, though, whether it's, like you said, something distracts him and he gets counted out, or if maybe here's the way to do it, because I think they're not going to have Bray pin Roman clean. I also don't think that a count-out finish with Roman is good. But maybe if they get to somewhere where Bray, like he's been messing with Roman and bringing up his daughter and stuff like that, maybe Bray does something that gets Roman so fired up and so mad that he just starts pummeling Bray, and it keeps ignoring the referee, and then the ref disqualifies him, and so Bray wins the match, but Roman is still like just beating down Bray Wyatt, and then finally they have to bring out the refs and they pull him off of him, and Bray's just sitting there like with his face all bloodied, and he's just laughing at Roman because he made Roman snap and he won the match, something like that.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to go with it, and I could definitely see that as a possibility, because no matter what intensity is brought in, no matter how brutal it gets, you'd never see Bray stop smiling. You know, and he relishes in that. He relishes in the pain, the agony, the intensity, if you will. And I think that definitely goes to his advantage, because we like the fans are like, my God, this guy's a freak. You know, and hey, freaks come out at night. People like freaks. You know. I'm just saying,
that's a great song. Great song.
But yeah, I you know, going into this, and it's just the start of this, I just pray they don't screw this up, because it's something that could go on. Maybe 2 to 3 pay-per-views, maybe.
Yeah, and it'd be something good, like you said, Felix. It'd be good for both of them, because I do think both of them need a really big feud to get them, you know, kind of set up for whatever's going to be next for each of them.
Yeah, exactly. But we both go with Wyatt on that one, so we'll see how that turns out. And then, of course, the United States Championship match. The champion, John Cena, and his arch by the way, did you not think that was funny with Seth Rollins? I
was going to say, you doing your best Seth Rollins impression.
And I know he had to have hated that. Oh, I'm sure he was pissed. He's stepping over his own words. Anyways, John Cena takes on his bitter rival, Kevin Owens. And Owens, many believe, is a made man, because he's gone in, he's beaten Cena, he's taken Cena to the limit, and no matter what, he seems to always give him one hell of a great match. Now, how they're throwing, I can't think of his name again. He drew a blank. Not Rollins. I'm sorry, not Rollins, but not Owens, not Cesaro.
Rusev.
Rusev and Cesaro into this mix. I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't think it needs to be there. Not saying that they couldn't do it on their own, but having them involved, it just feels like it came out of left field. Well, okay, Dolph Ziggler's out of the picture for the moment. Let's throw Rusev into the mix. And because we got nothing better for Cesaro, let him go in and have a match with Cena and have him kill it. Not saying that they didn't, because they had one of the best matches of the year, for sure. But was it really necessary? I mean, okay, for Cesaro, okay, it was the United States Championship match. I get it. But it just feels like they're including these two guys into this rivalry too soon. This rivalry's not even over yet, and they're already throwing more challengers in the way. Let them finish this matchup and see where it goes. And if either two want to jump at the new champ, because I really believe Owens is going to win it, because he's already proven himself a relevant person to be in the ring with, regardless of how he looks, regardless that he's not this big, muscular, jacked up, muscle-bound freak that most people, that I think, and excuse me for saying this, but I really still believe that Vince McMahon has a freaking hard-on for these guys, because he still makes these guys a freaking champion. And I'll get back into that later on. But it just, I'm sorry, I'm a fan of what I've been around and watching Kevin Steen do, Kevin Owens. I've watched him since his Ring of Honor days, and he's a hell of a talent. Goes without saying. Same thing with Samoa Joe. And it's funny, because going off the subject for a second, CM Punk, did you see that interview that they did with Punk asking him about the Ring of Honor guys now on top in WWE?
Yeah.
He can't deny that he kind of made that obvious a few years ago, that these guys are really somebody you need to take notice, and that somebody who should be on top, and they are now. And he just laughs about it, because he feels like he told you so, but nobody listened. But in reality, that's what's happening. I mean, Triple H is finally taking notice and bringing these guys on, and I'm just happy because guys like a Samoa Joe, guys like a Kevin Steen, guys like a Sami Zayn, Even, dare I say for a second, the return of Stardust. Now, that's another subject I want to get into with you after we conclude with this breakdown here real quick. But going back into this, as far as the outcome, I don't like that they threw in extra challengers in there just yet. Too soon for me. But as far as who leaves as a champion, I'm going with Owens because it's his time. It's time. Cena, although I worry Cena gets out of the U.S. title picture, goes right back into the world title picture. Now, nobody wants to see him be a 16-time world champion. I sure don't.
It's going to happen, Felix. It's going to happen.
Yeah, before you know it, they'll make him a 2-time Hall of Famer, too. Shit. Anyways, excuse my language, folks. I'm just a little passionate when it comes to talking about this wrestling business. But
I agree, man.
Title picture.
I agree. I think Owens is going to win the match. I do disagree, though, with the Cesaro stuff. I think you're right that the Rusev stuff is too much. They need to wait on that. But I think the Cesaro stuff is, like, we got 2 really awesome matches out of it with him and Cena, and I think that it sets things up for where if Owens wins, like we both think he's going to win, he's already got a number 1 contender ready-made. And I think, like, if they give us Owens and Cesaro at SummerSlam, I think that'll be a hell of a match. Or, if, let's say, Cena wins by, we neither one of us want to see that, but, he's telling us we can't see him. Maybe if Cena wins, then they find some way to do like a 3-way or something like that. But I hope Owens wins, and I hope the next thing we get is Owens and Cesaro at a big stage like SummerSlam, because I think, that would be one of that's like you said, like, CM Punk saying, these indie guys, these ROH guys, that's the stamp of validation. You talk about the second biggest event on the WWE calendar, and one of the big matches is 2 former ROH guys fighting for a big title. Like, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. Okay. I can dig that. I can dig that. And of course, we move into the match of the night, where nobody's going to see what's going to happen. Now, okay, that might be argued as far as which match would actually be the match of the night, but we go into the World Heavyweight title match, Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, and, well, Rollins has no authority with him. You don't expect Stephanie and Triple H to sit out ringside, do you? I sure don't. And of course, the idea of a Heyman turn, it's been done. Could it be done again? I guess we'll have to find out. I do expect
anything is possible.
I do expect a twist, and whether it be that or something else, or a new person brought into the picture, something's going to happen. Will we see a new champion? No, not yet. It's going to go to SummerSlam, and what I would love to see, just me personally, because I'm a fan of this guy, I would love to see Randy Orton get thrown into the title picture with these 2, because I've wanted to see a Brock and Randy match for a while, and Randy is so snake-like, if you will, pardon the pun. He's another guy that could sneak in there, win the title, and just take off. And be like, ha-ha, got you, bleepers. I won't say the actual word. But, and win the title. And besides that, it'd be a hell of a match. Now, most people would have thought, knowing me and knowing how much of a fan I am of Undertaker, I would see that, considering how well he's been looking. He's been looking really good. He's been looking really healthy, and I expect him to be in Dallas next year. But that's another story for another day. But as far as the match goes, I'm going with the champ, only because this is something that's going to be pushed to SummerSlam. Some kind of stipulation match, whether it be a cage match, Hell in a Cell, whatever. This is not over, by no means.
No.
Something's going to happen. And it's going to get pushed to SummerSlam, which should be, I'm going to say, about a month later, or give or take. What are your thoughts?
I agree. That Seth is going to find some way to win because this thing it has to conclude at SummerSlam. I think that's when Brock finally brings the title back home to Suplex City. But while we're talking, I'm like, they've got, like, the Heyman thing, that'd be interesting for the short term, but in the long term it'd be bad. Like, who else could debut? You talk about Orton maybe. I'm thinking maybe this is where, you talk about Triple H and Stephanie, maybe this is where Triple H gets physically involved, helps Seth retain the title, and then the story we get leading up to SummerSlam is Triple H, because we've seen the tension between the two over the weeks, and Triple H is like, see, kid, you needed me to help. You're not there yet. You need me to help. Then at SummerSlam, Seth Rollins loses the title to Brock Lesnar after, finally pushing away Triple H's help, and then that leads to the Triple H-Seth Rollins feud down the line.
I like it. I definitely see potential, and I know they've been working towards it. So
and Triple H has history with he's got history with Brock.
Yeah, he does, but I don't see him actually getting back in the ring with them again. So I do see a possibility of maybe they decide, oh, you know what, Seth, we don't think you're ready for it. We're going to go with put our money on the Beast because he's been dominant at everything he's done, and he's a good representative for the WWE now. And maybe that don't sit well with him, and maybe Seth actually calls out Triple H for a match. Not necessarily for the title, but a match to a teacher versus student kind of thing, to be like, I'm a man, and I'm going to show you I'm a man because I'm going to take your ass down. And that's all there is to it, because he's still trying to use the pedigree, and it's a matter of respect. Now, they could say that for a WrestleMania, but if they don't do it for WrestleMania, SummerSlam would be the next best bet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that we've got to get that feud WrestleMania. I don't know, but yeah, we've got to get that moment. And here's the other thing that might be a little crazy. Seth Rollins, maybe he's not the good guy in this story. Maybe they work it so that Seth Rollins, everybody thinks he's going to have this big moment where he's like, I'm tired of living in your shadow, and I'm going to stand up for myself and be who I truly am. Maybe who he truly is the despicable person, and he's going to be like, I'm going to out-despicable you, Triple H, and Triple H becomes the good guy in this story, which to me seems crazy, but we've seen crazier things happen when it comes to Triple H in big matches.
Very true. One thing's for sure, check it out on the WWE Network. That is free for the month of August. I'm sorry, July.
Probably August too.
And see where this goes, because you just don't know. I mean, every possible scenario is a possibility, but we just don't know now with a lot of the elements taken out of the match. Seth going in it on his own, so. Just what kind of ace does he have up his sleeve? What the hell did I just say? Hello, where's my head at?
I thought this was a family show, Felix.
Hello. Good grief. Wash my hands of that. I'm done with that. All right. Going to a more G-rated area. Good grief. What the hell is wrong with me? All right. We saw the return of Cody Rhodes, Stardust, and you know what? Honestly, I was happy to see him back. Now I know, and I'll be the first to admit it. After Dusty passed, I wanted Cody to go back to being Cody. I admitted it on air, and I'll say that I admitted it again. But it makes sense, because if those of us who've seen the tweet that he left, and he posted a quote from Dusty, "Finish what you start, kid." Why not give it all you got? Take it somewhere and give it everything in you to make it successful, whether people like it or not. And yes, people are shitting on it. People are like, let's just let him be Cody now. Let him be Cody Rhodes. Live off the Rhodes name. I'm going to have to recant my vote. I want to see him do something with this Stardust. And not only that, Cody's wife stepped up for the first time that I've ever seen her step up for her husband. And she's like, oh, hell no. Y'all are just something else. Talking about they were leaving the arena, I think it was last night. Last night. And fans were like, Cody, come, I want to give me an autograph. We pay your bills. How in the hell are you going to say that to anybody and expect anything?
Right.
Look, Dusty was always saying everything he got in wrestling was because of the fans, but that doesn't give anybody the right to actually scream that back at anybody. and expect anything good in return? not to mention that, you know what? Cody and his wife Brandy had, Brandy is very passionate. She don't seem like it because she's in character on TV, but she went to bat for her husband, and people are like, they're crapping on this. We want Cody and take advantage of the Rhodes name now because Dustin's out of action and he's passed. After reading that whole blog she wrote, I respectfully take back my plea to have Cody be Cody and let him do what he feels right. If it means finishing this character, then I fully support it. And I will cheer for him, and I will respect the wishes because, you know what? It makes perfect sense. We don't know what kind of relationship Dusty had with his kids. We don't know if Dusty was a fan of the Stardust character or not. I believe he was. But again, we are fans. We don't know what goes on behind these closed doors. We're how these people were brought into this, and just in general, we know nothing about the Rhodes. For anybody to have that audacity, it just makes me ashamed of the fans of this generation. Because I remember when being a fan was actually about being the fan. We knew our roles, if you pardon the pun, and we appreciated these guys, these larger-than-life characters. And if you pardon me for saying a story here real quick, I still remember back in 1992 going to a live event in Phoenix, Arizona, getting the opportunity after the match. It was a main event. It was Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon. The match was over. Everybody had started to leave the arena. I went down to ringside with my sister, and we were trying to squeeze in, and we wanted to touch Bret Hart's hand, and we got in there. We got our hands in there, and he slapped our hands, and both my sister and I left with like stars in our eyes because we were like, oh, we got to do, and that's what it was like for me to be a fan. Because these guys are larger-than-life characters. You look up to them. You love them. You respect them. You think highly of them. At the same time, you think about this now, and you get kids and people wanting to sue these guys for bullshit reasons. Excuse my language, folks. I'm just getting into the moment here. People that yell out obscenities to the women, yell out obscenities to the stars, and expect them to sign your autographs, and be like, well, we pay your bills. You should do this for us. It's not going to hurt you to do this for us. Well, maybe it won't. But when you come at them like that, what the hell makes you think that you're going to get anything from them? Other than a dirty look and maybe a middle finger in the air.
Right. And that's
kind of like that's going to be in the news. So-and-so flipped me off, and all I was wanting was an autograph that he just didn't have to be so rude. I'm going to sue him.
For emotional suffering.
Right. I'm going to have nightmares of this guy flipping me off and saying, bleep you and bleep your whole flipping family too, or whatever.
Well, that's to me, Felix, that's the problem of, it's like the blessing and the curse of the age that we live in now. Like the blessing is that wrestlers and fans have never been as close. We talk about the project like Kamala's project or like China's project, and just being able to interact with the fans and being able to support your favorite wrestlers. So that's a good thing, But the negative thing is, along with, that connectivity, being able to like tweet at your favorite superstar or be Facebook friends with your favorite superstar, the negative side is people start to expect that the superstar owes them something, and they don't. The only thing the superstar owes the fan is to put on a good show. Everything else above that is gravy. Everything else above that is whatever they decide to do. If they want to take a picture with you, cool. If they want to sign an autograph, cool. But they don't owe you anything other than to put on a good show night in and night out.
And some people get it, and some people don't. And that's why I think, with the blessing that we've had for the last 3 years that I've been on air with Pipebomb Radio, whether it be myself in Austin, or the past co-hosts that we've had, or even when you joined us last year, no matter who we've had on, and that's one thing I will never turn my show into, is being about ridiculous crap that just to stir up the trouble, just to put people on the spot. It has always been about respect, because that's the way I would want to be treated if I were ever interviewed for anything. You bring me in here and talk about, oh my God, I saw you over there and you were with this hooker and blah 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 blah, and what y'all were doing? What you were doing? What the hell kind of question is that? You're gonna put me on the spot, ask me about my business? I'm sorry, click.
But no, seriously, Felix, what were you doing over there?
You know what? I think I might have put myself in the wrong spot there, but you know what? Oh my God! What the hell was I just saying?
Yeah.
All right. But you know what I'm saying. You're gonna put somebody on the spot, bring them on the show. That's just not gonna fly.
It's just respect.
I don't care who it is. I've heard a lot of these shows. I've heard a lot of issues that get brought up. Some people don't need to know everything. If they want to discuss these things, cool. But if they don't, have the decency and the respect to know to back off, or don't bring it up at all.
Yep.
And I hate to keep bringing up my show in that instance, and saying that, but I've listened to other podcasts. I've listened to these people that call themselves quote unquote broadcasters in the media or podcasters or whatever the hell they want to call themselves. They have no clue what it is to actually host a show. I've never claimed to be the best, the greatest, or anything in that particular category. I consider myself blessed because of the opportunities that not only I have created, but you have created. Austin's created. What the hell is that kid's name?
Jordan.
Jordan, that was on the show. Even the past shows that we've done, opportunities that have opened the door for us. Nothing more that can be said other than blessed. Now, I can say the same thing with looking at China. China has become one of my closest friends because of the fact that there is a mutual respect. She could have looked at me as nothing more than a fan who was going to berate her, talk down to her, look down on her, whatever the case may be, but I've been a supporter of hers for a number of years, and even more so when she chose to be a friend of mine and accept the kind of person I am, and I accept the kind of person she is. Yes, she still gets hated on, but the fact that I've watched her in the last few months since returning home on one great move, it's just one good thing after another. She is open to talk about anything and everything, and hopefully, I've already put in a request to have her on the show, and I'm hoping that if we do get her, it'll probably be towards the end of the summer, possibly early fall. But nonetheless, it's she knows she can trust me, and coming on the show is something I know she would love to do, I think. And if that happens, stay tuned, folks, because that's going to be a lot of fun. And even if it means we're talking about her dog Horn from way back in Japan, or her new one, Mrs. Peanut Butter, to all her smoothies, or to her yoga. She's a yogi, whatever the case, she's willing to talk about anything. Now, I will say, if we do, and you're hearing this now, if we do get China, I will not open up the phone lines. I will possibly be convinced to maybe 1 to 2 calls, but that's about it. Because I do not want I don't want her to be put on the spot in any situation. I still am pretty scarred about what happened to one of our guests earlier this year. How one of those little SOBs snuck right past me and embarrassed not only me but my show. Asking one of our guests some of the and just not even really asking, just making a point that nobody wanted to hear.
Right, making up a lie just to get on and just get themselves over, which they didn't, because everybody that heard it, they're like, this dude's an idiot for wasting his time and wasting our time. Basically,
but yes, I know for a fact. I'm not going to say any names, but I know for a fact we've got a huge name coming to the show. That I confirmed. I am working on a couple others. For next week's show, I'm going to go off. I'm still holding out hope for P and News one day, Brother Felix. Yo baby, yo baby, yo. There you go.
And we can get P and News and Oscar to have a rap off.
Woo!
The ultimate rap battle.
Get him on there with the Not Your Mama's Radio Show guys, and I got something to tell you about that one too. But next Tuesday night, we are bringing back to the show. He came on the show in February of last year. Such a great kid, and he had started his career so young, and already established such a great wrestling career for himself. Of course, he's not in the WWE anymore, but he was involved in a big storyline with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. He was a part of the Spirit Squad. Kenny,
yes,
from the Spirit Squad. Ken Doan coming
Kenny!
to the show next week. And now he's doing his own health and fitness thing, and he still wrestles and makes appearances with his Spirit Squad guys, Mike Mondo and I think it's just him and Kenny that do the experiences. I'm not sure about the other guys. But he's still around. He's still active in social media. He does his own blogs on his own website and so forth. But, yep, Kenny Doan's coming to the show. Kenny Dykstra, whether you knew him as that or just Kenny. He'll be back to do a part 2 with us, and that way I can introduce him to Nate. Because I know we had him on, it was Austin and myself, we had him on a very tight scheduled time limit. Unfortunately, the interview had to be cut short because of that, but been trying to get him back on ever since. He's agreed to come back next week. And to close out July, we have got a very huge surprise for you. Nate and I will be conducting an interview with somebody, is to say, who is a bona fide Hall of Famer, whether you put him in WWE Hall of Fame or just the Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yep.
A legacy in professional wrestling that will probably never be touched because he's been in just about every company that you can think of. And that's about all I'm going to say about that. You have to tune in next week to find out who it's going to be because I will reveal it next week. But as far as Nacho Mama's radio show goes, this past Thursday night, for the first time that I can ever remember seeing it happen, a wedding renewal happened on air. As Oscar and Mimi renewed their wedding vows, and I officiated that. I don't know if you want to say officiated, presided over it, whatever you want to call it. I was there to do their wedding renewal, and it was fun. It was nice. It was a surprise that because I know Mimi and Oscar had just celebrated their 2-year wedding anniversary, and Mimi wanted to surprise Oscar with doing this on air. And to my recollection, I don't know if anybody's ever done that. And it was fun.
Awesome.
And Sir Mo was there, and it was funny because I got to the part where if there's anybody here that sees why these two should not be wedded, be married, speak now. I kind of sped past that, and I'm just to mess with everybody. And after we did the service and so forth, I said, so Mo, what'd you think? He said, well, you kind of sped past that part where anybody objects, man. What's up with that, man? You know how he talks. and Oscar would be like, you just better keep your black ass and shut up. Keep your black ass there and be quiet. You know how those two go. Those two get into bad training, and you just can't get them to quit. But anyway,
that is
cool.
awesome.
It was very, very unexpected, very fun. I think Oscar was pleasantly surprised. And for the most part, they celebrated their 22nd anniversary in WWE because at that time, that Sunday prior, WWE had posted at this day in history, 22 years prior, Men on a Mission made their debut.
Huh.
So they started talking about memories of working with Nelson, a lot of stories of traveling and so forth. So, but yeah, that was a big hoo for the show. They got to have their wedding renewal on air. And as far as Thursday goes, I'm not quite sure what they have in store just yet, but I know it'll be interesting because they talk about not just wrestling, they talk about the politics, the craziness. Lord help me. And I you know what? I don't even want to get in and give my opinion about this whole Bill Cosby thing because I just don't want to. But that gets brought up quite a bit. Then now that Donald Trump, now they call him the Antichrist. But that's just a whole mess. That's why I don't get into politics and all that shenanigans because I just don't care. It's not going to make me lose any sleep about who did what to who 30 years ago or who's going to try to run the country and. Oh, my God, they're talking about illegal Mexicans. Oh, my God. Well, you know what? My family's here. I got family in Mexico, too, but the majority of them are already here, so I ain't worried. So you can say all you want to because I'm still a legal citizen. I can't even talk today. An illegal citizen. Hello. I was born here, folks. What the hell am I thinking tonight? Lord have mercy. But I got to turn the mic over to you because I've been yapping for too long here. What's going on with your upcoming shows? I know you do your shows where you break down TNA, and you also do your show with Marcus. So what you guys got on the horizon this week?
Yes, real quick, I do want to send a shout out to Oscar and Mimi. That was very cool, and I guess we can call you're the new Brother Love, Felix.
Oh no. No, it's not brother. It's not Brother Love. It's Hermano Love.
Hermano Amor. Oh man, but yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned Kings of Sport with Marcus Vanderberg. Felix has been on the show in the past, and I'm sure as we get closer to SummerSlam, we'll try to hook back up with Felix as we get our Marcus is kind of the casual fan now, where he only gets hyped up for the big events like WrestleMania, like SummerSlam. So I'm sure we'll have some great wrestling conversation as we get closer to that event. But this week, the Kings of Sport, we're talking about NBA free agency. We're talking about the recap of the Women's World Cup. We talk about some crazy stories in the news, like the Florida State football, what's going on with them. And we touch on Bill Cosby, too. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those type of shows, the Kings of Sport on iTunes, Stitcher, and you can check us out on Twitter, KOS_POD. And then I also do Review and Impact with the Fight Network every Saturday. It comes out with myself and Brian Mann, and we just kind of review the craziness that goes on every week in TNA.
All right. And, I have to go out and say, I'm going to bring this up on air because I know Nate and I were going to discuss this off air, but what do you think, those who are listening in tonight, and even you, Nate, at the possibility of expansion? And what I mean by expansion is not only do we focus on wrestling and the sports entertainment genre, but of bringing in other people that have been in the entertainment industry, whether it be like we did a few years ago when we brought in reality stars from The Hero, or I brought in a reality TV star from the MTV Road Rules a couple years ago. If we were to bring in guys like that have been in the music industry or television or movies or what have you, what do you think about that opportunity, Nate? Would you welcome that? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think we should stick with wrestling? That's what's been our bread and butter for the last 3 years, so to speak, or do you think we should kind of expand?
I mean, wrestling is always going to be the bread and butter of this show, or the foundation, if you will. But just because you got some great bread and butter doesn't also mean you can't have, a little toast and jam over here, a little bagel with some cream cheese on the side. So yeah, I'm all for it because I think that wrestling, like you said earlier, wrestling just isn't wrestling anymore. It's entertainment, and so I think that to open the show up to people from different avenues of entertainment, and who knows, sometimes like when we talked to Jesse the other week, sometimes wrestling and entertainment they often intersect. He was a star on Big Brother, and who ended up in TNA. So I'd love to talk to different people from outside of the world of wrestling and kind of get their opinion on things in the world. And who knows, maybe we'll find some secret wrestling fans outside of the world of wrestling.
I'll tell you what, because an idea was brought to my attention today. I like the concept of what we do as far as each month. We take a Tuesday specifically to break down the upcoming pay-per-view, and with August coming in for SummerSlam, and I believe SummerSlam would fall on the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I could be wrong. But nonetheless, we do that 18th of August to do the SummerSlam SmackDown or SummerSlam, whatever, just kind of make a snazzy title. We bring in your old pal Marcus to come on the show, if he's up for it. I give him a little advance notice. And we make it like an open forum to kind of talk about SummerSlam, if it's hopefully God willing. Fingers crossed, if it's built up to be a good card, we'll have an interesting chat. And if it doesn't, I think we'll still have an interesting chat. But please let Marcus know he's invited to come on to do that little breakdown, the SummerSlam preview show, if you will, on the 18th of August.
Definitely.
And see what goes on from there. But as far as expansion goes, it's been brought to my attention that maybe we could definitely expand it more, entertainment value to bring in more people to listen. We can promote other things besides wrestling. I mean, wrestling will always be there. We'll always have, whether it be indie stars in the wrestling world or legends that we've had on. It'll always be there. We'll always still have that chance, and we will always, if there's a chance to bring them, we'll bring them. But if there's a chance to bring somebody else, why not? Can't always stick with wrestling. I mean, not saying that we can't, but I mean, it's always good to expand. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But with that said, make sure you guys check us out on our social media, which is all located on our website, pipebombradio.net. Gives you the links to our Facebook, our Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. And thanks to Elio, he's back home, folks. Elio 2 N's Canella, that's CANNELLA. Anyways.
Ain't he great?
Ain't he great? Oh, Lord. He's back in his home country. He was in Italy for about a month. He's back in Canada again. And he's going to be uploading, and he just informed me that Dailymotion is no longer, we don't actually work with Dailymotion due to the complications that they've given us on uploading our shows and so forth. But we still have YouTube. YouTube gives us a few dings from time to time, but they haven't turned on us yet, thank God. We love you, YouTube. Anyways, we're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. Yes. We're basically everywhere you can possibly think of, except Dailymotion. So check us out. We've got our show coming up next week with Kenny Doan. Not Your Mama's Radio Show is back again this Thursday night. Check out the Kings of Sports, and of course, everybody's favorite TNA breakdown guy on the Fight Network. Other than that, on behalf of Nate and myself for Pipe Bomb Radio tonight, we thank you for joining us for the Battleground Breakdown. And with that, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars, guys. Good night, everybody. Night, Nate.
See you next week.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm